Hello, Warrior TV. Steve Knapp, the Mindset Warrior, here with our latest edition of the Power Hour of Mindfulness. Tonight, I've been joined by an amazing fellow warrior, our Rainbow Warrior, Caroline. It's going to be super exciting. I'm very, very interested in Caroline's story. We were just discussing about what questions I'm going to ask, and I know about as much as Caroline does. I've absolutely no idea what I'm going to ask, so we're just going to go with the flow and have a bit of fun. I'll play the intro and we'll see you soon. Hello, Caroline. Welcome to the Power Hour. So good to have you with us.
Oh, thanks so much, Steve. I'm so excited to be here with you. And it's lovely. I'm actually on the morning show now. So I'm always saying to you, I'm listening to you when I'm having my breakfast. And I'm actually having my cup of tea, my orange juice, my sunshine.
Look at that. And it looks like a nice bit of sunshine over your shoulder there coming through the window.
Yeah, and the light's on and the sun is coming up as well. So the sun is on its way. Yeah.
Oh, perfect. might dodge some snow today.
Yeah, I know. We had snow here 2 days ago, and you're telling me that's so hot there in Australia.
Yeah. I spent a few hours emptying a shipping container today, and I reckon it was about 45 degrees in there. It was horrible.
Wow.
But we survived. We're here to tell our story. That's the main thing.
Yeah, exactly. It's amazing though, because we're always that's why we have to watch a lot of Australian TV. We always have Home and Away and Neighbours on because we have to import the sun from you guys. You know?
Yeah. Don't worry, our winters are just as horrible. We have snow and everything as well.
Oh dear! Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Down in Melbourne we do anyway. Other parts don't, but we get it nice and cold.
Oh, that's nice though. That's great. You've got contrast.
Good to see Adam's hedging his bets. Good afternoon. So he's sort of going in the middle of both of us. I like that. That's very nice. Yeah. So I reckon the first thing I'd like to know, Caroline, is where did the Rainbow Warrior come from? Because I know Rainbow fits into a bit of your other branding. Can you tell everyone where that's all sort of started and what that entails?
Well, actually, it's from the Rainbow Warrior children's book that I wrote. Back in, I actually wrote it, I think a good few years ago, but I think I started to put it together in 2019. I kind of had, I suppose, like I'm a graphic designer by trade, and I went into education, and I kind of always had that interest in mental health because my father's a psychiatric nurse, and I kind of grew up with that always around me. It was like, I was just thinking about it, we were talking about it on the coffee morning the other day, it was so funny. But I was thinking it's really just been like the air, you know, when you grow up in an atmosphere of just, you know, I always knew about nursing, always knew about like mental health. It was just something that it was always, my dad being a nurse, and just in the water that I was swimming in, we'll say, you know. So it was always part of me. And a lot of my family, but my mum was really creative. She was really creative, and the kind of very into fashion style, she was a hairdresser, and really kind of that side of the family were very entrepreneurial. My great-grandfather, he brought hairdressing to Wexford, and he did all the kind of, he was an entrepreneur basically, and he kind of grew a big business through that, you know, and he was very successful. So there was kind of a creative side, an entrepreneurial side to my family, and then there was the kind of compassionate, caring, mental health side, you know. So I always had both, you know. So I went into the creative side, but always being drawn back into mental health, very compassionate, and just have this thing about, you know, especially around suicide and anything to do with anyone wanting to take their life, because it's such a big issue, and it's such a big issue where we live as well, you know, in Wexford. We live in a beautiful part of the country, you know, where I grew up. It's like the sunny southeast, and it is just like there's the beach, beautiful sandy beaches, gorgeous little kind of harbour, beautiful mountains. I grew up in the mountains, and it's just beautiful. But yet so many problems with mental health. And like they have a kind of suicide watch on the bridge every night where people volunteer because, you know, there's problems with people. And in the town that I grew up close to as well, it was like constantly, and I just couldn't understand, like, what was this? Like, you know, like I trying to get to always a deep thinker and very kind of, I suppose, very kind of, I had a kind of very deep spiritual kind of contemplative mind, we'll say. So I was always trying to looking at what were the reasons people were feeling like this, you know, what was trying to get to the root cause of it. Because I was, you know, so I suppose then I went, as I went into education and I started getting more into academia, and then I started looking into the deeper kind of understanding of the mind, I guess, because I was kind of studying design thinking. And then I started to kind of look into mindfulness, and I started training with mindfulness and neuroscience. And that was really kind of so interesting. I just thought, wow, you know, when you start learning about that, you know, because I knew so much about the mind, how it's so creative and everything, and the different states for creativity and stuff. But then going into, like, you know, the fight or flight freeze modes, and then the executive functioning. And, you know, I really got so interested in that. And then I suppose I could see then with children, when I had my kids small, then the problems that kids had. And there was one point where I just saw my kids were going into a camp, and I could see there was so much anxiety, you know, for children of, you know, that age. I think they were around 8 or 9 or something at that time. And I just thought, you know, trying to coach them to go to do things, you know, that they didn't want to do, and the fear that they were holding in themselves, and, you know, trying to, like, how could I get them to get past this, you know? So then I kind of, that one day I was struck so much by it, like that, by this problem. I just sat down and I thought of the character of the Rainbow Warrior, which it's non-physical. So it's just like the essence of a person, you know, the essence of us, and it's essence of life itself. So it's like kind of like the force of life itself as such, that works through all of us, and it's creative, and it's the part of us that feels joy and laughter and creativity and love and compassion, and all of that is our true self, you know. That's our true essence, and that's the truth of humanity, you know. So I was trying to paint that picture that we all have this, we share it, and it's also within nature, and it's the beautiful force that, you know, connects everything, you know. But I was trying to describe it in a character, so I call it the Rainbow Warrior, and then that the Rainbow Warrior is in each of us, and it's also in our environment, and as we connect to nature, I mean, as we connect to ourselves. So it's a book about connection, then connecting back to yourself, connecting to each other, and then connection to the environment, you know, because that's kind of where a lot of the problems are coming from, disconnection from the environment as well. And then within it, I put the story of, you know, of how the breath. So the Rainbow Warrior has two superpowers, and the first is her eyes, and she looks through how she sees the world, you know, and how you see, because it's how you perceive the world is how equal to how happy you'll be and how joyful you'll be, you know. So it's always trying to see the world with understanding, you know, to try to understand rather than judge, you know. So it's kind of to clear our vision, to have a clear vision in our sight, and that's kind of, I suppose, is only gained through life experience and understanding and compassion and kindness and stuff like that. And then the second power then is her breath. So whenever wherever you feel anxious, then I teach, you know, the kids how to breathe in a rainbow and breathe out a rainbow and breathe in, just, you know, those three long breaths, and kind of calms us. And we know through neuroscience, you know, it's moving us away from our fight and flight and into our, you know, executive functioning, that we can move through fear back into what we love and what we love to do and what we want to do and what we want to create and what we want to kind of, what the wheel wants to do, what the creative force wants to do, you know. So that's kind of the two superpowers. So trying to, you know, teach them to remember that in the morning when they wake up, and then before they go to bed, so that she's kind of ever present with us. And when you think of her, she'll always be there with us to protect us. Yeah.
I love that. That is absolutely amazing. And I think the way you describe your background, just, it makes so much sense to meet you like all of these parts that have magically come together and intertwined. You're like, what was I thinking of this? A conscientious, creative empath.
Thanks.
Thinking of everything and everyone. You're putting it into the most wonderful way of words, pictures, and way for anyone's version of understanding, and it's all from love, compassion, and kindness. So I think that just all just works in magically together. It's so awesome. I love it.
Oh, thanks so much, Steve. Yeah, because I was grappling with that over the last couple of days. I think even in the team, I was asking, what did you call me? It's like I have so many hats. I don't know. It's funny because I was saying I hate being put in a box, you know. But I'm like a bird. I'm a bird. That's all I would say. Just
gotta fly around everywhere.
Like fly around, yeah.
We've got a couple of comments. The amazing Valerie's joined us saying hello. Hi, Valerie. Thanks.
Hi, Valerie.
And we've got a question from Adam again. He said, you spoke about what the rainbow means to you, but would you say the rainbow has delivered our Irish warrior opportunities more than usual?
What does he mean by that? The rainbow is
good question. I have no idea either. Reword that for us, Adam.
Does he mean the rainbow has more? Well, I suppose the rainbow to me is actually, I just flicked through this. Actually, I illustrated the book as well. So awesome. The rainbow, I tried to kind of bring the colors all the way through. So trying to show like that everything is connected, you know, and that we have the rainbow. So it's all like kind of like, I suppose, the universe within us, you know. So it's like I always was fascinated by the eye, of the human eye, because, you know, I used to always doodle it, and I was always drawing the eye and looking at the eye. And my eye was actually used in a festival of world cultures one time as well, when I was in my 20s, on banners and things. It was all over the place. And actually, it was just that then to realize that, you know, how we perceive the world is how we look through our eyes and how we see the world. So it's kind of like when we see the world with potential and possibility, then that arises in our lives, you know. So it's talking about, you know, you're the mindset warrior. So it's very much like that. It's just a mindset of potential orientated mindset. And I suppose when you talk about the rainbow, it's funny actually, because, you know, I suppose Ireland is known for like kind of that kind of magical, like the rainbow and the pot of gold at the bottom of it and stuff like that. Yeah, exactly. And I was just thinking to myself about it actually after. I was thinking that's funny, because it was kind of like, when you think about it, really, if you see the world as being full of potential, then you're going to end up definitely with abundance with a pot of gold, because, you know, it'll be the gold within you, you know, like you're finding your own pot of gold. But then you're also, you know, it does turn up in the world for you then, because you have loads of ideas, and you have loads of, you know, you want to connect with people, and you want to see beautiful things happen for people, and you want to bring that kind of magic to life, you know, because, like, you know, to talk about the present moment, to me, that's sometimes a bit flat. Like, I love when you call it the power, you know, you use those words, because it's so powerful, just the present moment, the magic in the present moment. To me, it's the creative power, you know, in the moment. You know, you never know. And like, I love the way you say you never prepare anything for a show, because you never know what's going to come up. And that's so exciting. Like, that's the exciting part of life, you know, like just in the moment, what's going to happen.
I don't want to ruin it. I don't want to have all these things planned out, and then you answer something, and I go, oh, hang on, I was going to ask this next. It doesn't flow. I'm like, no, I want to just roll with it and see what happens. It makes it so much more. Well, it's definitely enjoyable for me, but I like to hope that the guests feel more at ease as well, because there's no structure, there's nothing to worry about. We can just roll with it, and I love when you say the pot of gold stuff. Like that stuff fires me up as well, because I think we lose track of our own pot of gold. Like, we've all got one somewhere, and for me, connection and gratitude are probably in my pot of gold. They're the things that I go to make every day better. And I think we've all got something there somewhere. We just got to remember that the pot's not out of reach.
Yeah, the pot's here inside, you know.
It's internal.
Like my necklace. You've got all the gold
Yeah,
It's all on within you, you know.
Yeah, I love it.
You can spend your whole life, and it's funny, like you get to a point, I think I got to a point like that, and it's like, you know, I always had the wanderlust, you know, I always wanted to go around the world and find everything. And there's even that book, The Alchemist, is funny, and that's all about that, you know, going out and looking for treasure, you know.
Yeah.
And it takes nearly a lifetime for you to realize the treasure. You have to come back to yourself to find the treasure. Yeah. You had it yourself all the time, you know. And I think that's what life is about. It's like that quest and that kind of journey of the self-discovery. And, you know, then you come back to yourself. And then the small self becomes the large self, you know, the S. And it's just then you feel you're connected to everything. You are yourself, but then you're part of a larger self, which is everybody else, you know, as well. So you're kind of connected, like it's like a bird being in. Do you ever see those birds in flight together when they all go?
It's like synchronized. They're all
synchronized, yeah. And you watch them, and it's like, whoa, you know, how it's like this massive intelligence, and it's so beautiful, and it's just they're all just flying together, and they all are doing their own thing independently, but they're linked and in sync together. You know, and it's just amazing. And I think that's what kind of where we're kind of going now. I think people realizing that yeah, it's great to be an individual and bring your own talents that are unique to you, but to be in unison, in, you know, in flight, in free flow and together, you know, in that kind of mindset of collaboration and of connection and of, you know, creativity. And, you know, that's where we're kind of going now, in this kind of new mindset, a new shift, you know.
Yeah, I agree. Like, I think there's so much opportunity now for us to, as a society, work together and collaborate. There's been too much divide, and there's too much jealousy and hatred and not wanting to get together. Whereas, like, if you're coming from the right place and if you're empathetic and mindful of everyone else, all you want is everyone else to succeed. There's no competition here. We just have to all flow together. And if you're winning, I'm winning, because seeing someone win makes me happy. And if you're coming from that place, it's like, I think that's one of the main things that has stopped me ever slipping back to any form of depression, I think, is always, I don't have to be winning, because if I see someone else close to me winning, I get the exact same feeling. Yeah. I could watch a friend have a massive success, and I think my body has all the exact same reactions if that was me. So it doesn't really, I can't go back to that path anymore.
That's amazing, actually. That's a really huge shift, though, like to get to, because that is definitely like a new neural pathway that you've opened. You know, it's not just like, it's not just woo-woo talk. It's actually you're reprogramming your brain structure. You know, because, you know, I've noticed that myself as well. Like different times where something just falls away. It's like I described it one time to a friend of mine. I was saying it was like a landslide. You know, when you see these kind of like an erosion of a part of a structure of land that just falls away to the sea, and it's just gone, and it won't ever come back. It's like as if, I remember a few times, like it was about kind of, actually I think it was about judgment. I think I was scared of, it was something that I just didn't want. I think it was scared of other people's opinions of me, you know. And I remember thinking I was inviting a friend somewhere, and I thought that she wouldn't be, I thought you'd have a negative opinion about it or whatever. And I remember thinking, no, this is really important to me, so I'm just going to do it. And I remember being kind of nearly having a panic attack about it. You know, the way when you come right up against one of your core fears?
Yep.
And I was like, oh, Jesus, you know, I was like, hands were shaking and everything. And I was like, no, but something was saying, oh, Karen, you just go through it, you do it. This is what you love. So you have to, like, even if you're not going to be friends with you after this, but it doesn't matter. You know, you just kind of have to do it. And I did it, and I brought her to wherever I brought her to, and I was like, and she went, I really get it. This is amazing. This is fabulous. And something in my mind just went, and it just fell away. And the thought, kind of mental relief just was amazing. And it was like as if I had faced a fear that was really core fear, and that it just dissolved then. And it was like you passed the test. You got through to the next level. you've graduated to a new level of something. I don't know what it is, but it feels really good. I was like, oh, Jesus. And you let go of like the fear of judgment. That's what it was, the fear of judgment,
That's a great fear to get rid of.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I couldn't have done this 18 months ago.
Yeah.
There's no way. You'd be thinking, oh, someone's watching, thinking this, thinking that. And now it's like, doesn't matter. Nothing, like, we get so caught up in, like you're saying, the perception of things instead of reality. Like, no one really cares what we do. No one. Like, they're in their own bubble. So you don't have to fear that somebody's going to remember what you did tomorrow. They're not going to. You don't have to be afraid of anything.
Yeah, and it's funny actually when you talk about the Rainbow Warrior, the book, because I was in the process of actually writing that book was amazing. It wasn't just even writing the book, but the amount of fears that I had to face within myself to bring that to the world. It sounds funny, but you wouldn't believe the amount of kind of notions that you have in your head that you have to overcome, to kind of step out of your comfort zone, to kind of become something that the people around you they knew you, but they didn't really know you. You didn't really know that you had certain abilities or different things that you wanted to do. You had to step out into the public arena. You had to kind of show your truth, and it's kind of scary doing that. It's very scary because it's kind of tentative because you're not really established in it yet. So it's like a little sapling, that's really tender, and it's kind of, you're not really, it could be destroyed very quickly if it's not like nurtured in a certain way. And I was saying to myself, what a process, just even to bring a book. That's why it's really keen for people to kind of publish, even self-publish something, because it's not just having a book out there. It's just a process that you go through is a really amazing process, and because you're confronted with all these fears within yourself that you didn't realize you had. Because when you're in your little bubble and you're doing the same thing every day, you don't have the opportunity to face those fears. You don't even know they're there until you come up against them, and then you go, oh my God, I have to move through there. And then I had to use all the powers of the Rainbow Warrior. I had to use the mindfulness breathing, and I had to use all those things to kind of get me through the fears of, like, the children. Because I was saying to myself, Caroline, like, you're talking about children, like, if you're going to be an example, you have to do this. You have to move through your own fears to bring the book out so that the kids can hear that message.
So you lived the book through creating the book.
That's it, exactly.
That's awesome.
That's it. I was saying to myself, because get inspired by something, and then you go, oh, this is great. Now I always think I'll go into something to help people, and then I always end up realizing, Caroline, you weren't helping yourself. You needed it. You were the one who needed it.
It's funny how often that works.
Oh God, yeah. It's like, you need a lot of work, girl.
It never ends. We all need constant work. It doesn't stop.
Oh yeah. It's the same with the Declare Republic. Like, I got those poems and I start reading them then, and I was like, every time I'd read a poem, that the following week, the lesson that was in the poem would turn up, and I was like, okay, I have to live this out. It's like you have to. So it was really like a teaching that I got. It was like, you write this down. It's like it always kind of comes, and it's not like I'm writing it. I'm just write, and then I bring it out, and then you kind of, okay, Karen, you have to live that now. Embody it. You have to live it. You have to live it. You can't just talk about it. You can't just put it out there and think it's for everybody else. No, it's for you. You have to live it.
Yeah, because the more you live it, the more you align to it. And you just grow, don't you? It's just a constant expansion of everything. As soon as you immerse yourself actually into taking away the words and the thoughts and being rather than doing, it totally changes everything. Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah,
I love when this.
Sorry, go. As you say, it's like doing in a different way. Because before I used to kind of do, be busy all the time. Then I had to kind of silence myself, go into quietness, and then find out what my real truth was. Then I had to write that. Then I had to start doing that. It's a different type of doing. Doing and being at the same time. Yeah.
It's just a circle. It never stops. You just keep going and going and going.
Yeah.
Because it was fun. I remember I think you mentioned arena before, and as soon as you said that, something just clicked in my mind that I was reading yesterday, and I think it was a speech from Teddy Roosevelt in like 1911 or something, and it was all talking about judgment and saying that you'll never be judged by anyone inside the arena with you. When you are the man in the arena, you only need to care about the other people in the arena, because the ones outside that aren't doing what you're doing, their words mean nothing to you. It is your mission to do what's true to you, and by standing up for yourself and being the man in the arena, you have already got all the power you need to deflect any form of judgment, and the people in the arena with you are only going to be there to support. They're never going to be the ones throwing stones from inside. And I thought, it's way better than that. That was the very abridged.
That sounds amazing.
I heard it yesterday version, but I'm like, I'm going to I'll research and I'll post it in the page or group somewhere, because I thought it was awesome. I'm like, yeah.
No, I think you expressed that really, really well, really clearly. That's amazing, actually. Yeah, because it does feel like that. Actually, it does. It's like you distance yourself. I was actually about intuition and inspiration, and I think we've talked about this before, Steve. So when you get the feeling of your future, that's kind of coming. You get a kind of a feeling before it arrives. And then, usually I get a feeling, and then I start to kind of put it into words or write it down or start talking about it or something like that. And I say, I feel this is happening. And it's like you're just, you're feeling into it. And it's kind of probably the opposite of the law of attraction, I think, this was nearly, because it's like you're feeling it before it's happened. Or maybe that's why even now, I find actually this is a completely new feeling this year. And it's like as if, when you're talking about the arena, the people, I suppose, before, maybe it's like you were in the crowd before looking on, and then it's the journey into the actual arena itself. And once you get there, then the kind of crowd kind of disappears into the background a little bit, and your focus is more then on what you're doing, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like a process of kind of letting that go. Yeah, so I can understand that. Yeah, it's like the walking, like as if you were in the crowd and then you kind of came out of the crowd and had to walk into the actual arena.
Yeah, and I think just the term arena, the things that conjures up in my mind, like I'm thinking matador with a bull, or I'm thinking Spartans at war.
Warriors.
Yeah. Or even just a massive sporting occasion. It's something where every time I think of all of those things, my mind goes, I can only be focused on what's inside the arena. If I look at what's outside, I'm going to die or get attacked or something.
Yeah.
But if I stay in the arena and focus on that, then nothing can go wrong. It's in my hands and my destiny.
Brilliant. I love that, actually. I'm just feeling that, actually, when you say that, because it's like the word arena, it has a really powerful feeling to it. And actually, it's very enclosed, isn't it? Because the way they're designed like that, where
and then it gets bigger up the side.
Yeah, and up the side. So you're kind of in nearly like a valley as such, And like that, as you say, when you say that, I hear you saying focus, really, It's like don't lose sight of focus, keep focused. Because if you're in a battle, if you're a warrior in an arena in Colosseum or something, and you've got something massive thing coming at you, you need to be focused on what's happening right in front of you. You don't have time. You can hear the crowd and they're shouting whatever, but they're watching you and they're kind of cheering you on, or they're for the other person, whatever. But you just, no matter what happens, you have to stay focused.
Yeah.
To survive, to do what needs to be done.
Who would have thought you could get a mindfulness show talking about arenas and warriors and
the Colosseum, and also, what does a Colosseum? What does a warrior have to do then? Needs to in between battles, they need to be training, their skills with their swords and their, whatever they need to do. So they need to be sharp in their swords.
keep getting stronger. I think
getting
that's all we can
stronger.
do in between.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be physical, mental strength, anything that goes in line with what you're trying to achieve.
You're studying, you're doing your courses, or you're doing your, whatever personal development you need to do, that kind of way. Learning what you need to learn to put yourself up to the next level,
Because it never stops, does it? You've got to keep doing this stuff for the rest of your life, or you eventually just start slipping backwards.
Exactly.
Keep climbing the mountain.
But like you were saying, like, the way when you kind of get into it, then it's like, it's what drives you then, because you really, like I've heard you saying that the way you just love kind of learning, you get that passion for learning and wanting to move forward. So it's not a chore. It's not like, oh God, I have to do this. It's like, what else can I learn? What don't I know? Like, there's so much you don't know. There's always something to learn.
You could live a million lifetimes and never learn everything. It's just picking out this. I suppose it's trying to, because I'm bad. I'm real big with shiny object syndrome. Like, oh yeah, that was cool. That was like, try to keep on track to learning one thing at a time can be difficult, but because there's so much cool stuff. Like, I think that's what catches me out. I'm like, wow, that is awesome. And I study a bit of that, and then I'm like, oh, look at that. And it's like, oh, where do you go? I need more hours in the day. I want to learn it all.
Well, that's a great sense of curiosity. I would say that follow your natural curiosity, like what you're interested in. That's kind of will bring you along your path as well, because it's always follow what you love. What feels good to you, like what feels right is always the right way to go.
Oh, so true. And how lucky are we in this day and age? The access of information. Like, there's never been a time before where you could just go, I want to learn about this, and find 1,000 different options on one topic. Like, it's never happened. Like, we're so immensely lucky to have all these different platforms around us, and so many amazing people that are writing books and doing podcasts and things. It's like, wow, there's no excuse to not improve your life now, because it's at your fingertips every minute of every day. And I think we're just totally blessed. I couldn't be more thankful to be in this generation.
Yeah, it's amazing. I think actually our generation probably appreciates that maybe more, because I suppose when you think about when I was a teenager, and even when I went to college, I remember I was really interested in psychology, but I wanted to do like my thesis on psychology and advertising, because the way the mind can be kind of, and again I suppose end up in mindfulness and neuroscience and design thinking and everything, but there wasn't any access to any information. Like, I remember there was this like little tiny library in Waterford, and like, I don't think they had any books on psychology. There was no internet, so I couldn't even do the thesis on that subject because there was no access to any information, that kind of way. And I was like, so there was always that yearning. There's obviously that like curiosity again, like, but I wasn't fulfilled. I couldn't fulfill it, so it was kind of trying to get it fulfilled somewhere else, and I suppose, I think Tessa said the same, she had that interest in psychology. She went into marketing, and it was about the mind as well. It was more about emotional intelligence, I think. And, it's just, I know with my daughter now, she's really interested in psychology, but it's so different. Like, she knows so much more, so quickly. She loves law, and she's after studying, like, she goes into all the crime cases, and, she wants to try, and there's like a vast amount of information there, and all the courses that they can do. And even our education in Ireland only became free education when we joined the European Union. And up to that, before that, like, we didn't have free access to education. So education was only opening up when I was a teenager to third level for a lot of people. And, so it was kind of like, I was one of the first in my family to go to third level. But, even at that, the amount of, the lack of kind of information, like you say, even if you had that yearning, or you just had that intelligence that you wanted to try and follow it, there just wasn't access to it. And now, like, it's amazing. When I did go back and do postgrad about 7 years ago, that really ignited it. And actually, I started self-studying and teaching, and I went into like the internet, and I started finding, like, I went back to we're talking about Romans, back to Greek,
Yes.
the Greek, like Plato and Aristotle and Plutarch and all that, and before that and everything, and then looking at like how the path of human thought, like, and how we've progressed in our thinking, and how like actually there was enlightenment about 2,000 years ago. Like, human beings were a lot more in tune, and it was an enlightenment period, and then I suppose the time of pre-Christ and then Christ, and then this how the kind of that rippled out, even if you're not talking about religion, but actually as a thought, as something that happened in history as such, and how that kind of influenced like the rest of, it trickled through Europe, like, and how it, the influences of that, like even Christianity kind of then, they took that kind of philosophy, and not philosophy, but the reason why, people came across then the conquistadors into South America and up into America and stuff, and bringing all that kind of mindset over to America kind of thing, and it's like, we're still living through all that, like, it's just so interesting when you have the ability to put all the pieces together, like, like a puzzle, all that information at hand, and like going back to ancient times then, and what kind of the Egyptians were doing, and like in Ireland then we have like even, I was like, oh my God, we have a Neolithic time that we had here. It was pre-Egyptian times, and it was just like the pathway. And then when psychology came in, and then like Freud and all the thinkers along that, and in the 1800s, how human beings and our thought, and how our thought has actually influenced how we live in our society, and our, it's so fascinating, to kind of look at it as a really big picture, and then where we are now, and how I really feel we're on a kind of cusp of kind of a new kind of horizon of thought at the moment, and it's just a really interesting thing, like, because I was really interested in art and, art history, and you've all these movements that happen in art history, and we've got like, the Impressionism, and that was kind of a collection of people that kind of wanted to explore, like, art, and how photography had kind of, so it took away like the landscape portraits and stuff, because it was always exactly painted real, as if it was realistic. They went into it, because then photography came, and that they didn't need that anymore. So the artists started saying, okay, well, we can explore something different now, going to abstract art, So I was thinking, like, it's like abstract thought now. It's like we're going into a stage now, and it's like people are looking at thought and how we think and where we think from, and the inner world and the inner landscape, and how that kind of changes our, perception of reality, and how reality is shaped by that, and then how, science and spirituality are starting to kind of agree on things, and they're starting to kind of come together, and that's kind of trickling down into the kind of the status quo and the zeitgeist, and how, like, even like the younger generations now, again, come back to technology again, they're being influenced by that, because they're like, everybody's talking about the universe now, how the universe is telling me, the universe is telling me that, like, that's such a huge change. Like,
well, you wouldn't have heard that 20 years ago.
No, Steve, like, when we were growing up, people were like, what? The universe?
What do you mean? The universe is up there. That doesn't tell you anything. You get locked up in the nut house if you said the universe is talking to me. You'd be like, what? Are you communicating with aliens, or what's going on here?
Yeah, well, exactly. My dad would be coming in the door with white coat. Yeah. Oh my God, it's so true though, isn't it?
Yeah, so what's another 20, 50 years going to look like?
Exactly.
God, it could be anything. Like, it's exciting that we'll be around to at least see the next phase in where all of this goes to. It's going to be pretty cool.
And that really is a recent thing, and it's great to see that. It's kind of like, when that started happening, I was going, wow, it's coming from, this is totally new. It's old, it's ancient, obviously, but it's new, it's new.
Old and new all at once.
Yeah, exactly. And it takes sometimes the crumbling down of things, so like, because in Ireland, like, we were so controlled by the Catholic Church and stuff. Like it just had it, you know, it was actually more like we were innately kind of a very spiritual race, but it's always kind of always connected to nature, you know, and our understanding of nature and stuff like that, you know, kind of historically. But I suppose it was kind of overlaid with Christianity, which was like obviously, you know, at the core of every single real religion is kind of the truth of like people who kind of realize these things. But I think then, you know, authoritarianism kind of comes in on top of it. It starts telling you what to do, and it takes the magic out of it, you know, and the truth out of it. So like we had all that institutional kind of religion here, and it caused a lot of problems with mental health and massive problems, like, you know. And I think when that kind of was all opened up and it kind of came to the light, then people, you know, or just so that it was just a time for that to crumble away, you know. And that now I feel it's like a renaissance of spirituality, you know. I feel this time is just a rebirth of kind of the truer sense of it, you know, of really, because if it's, you know, it's anything that's life affirming and life giving and uplifting, and, you know, you like you say, when you know, you feel it, it's an experience, you know, isn't it? You know.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And I think, and it's never too late for any of us to go through that rebirth phase. Because I know, like, for me, 10 years ago, maybe not even, maybe like as recent as 6, 7 years ago, if we discussed any of the things we have tonight with that version of me, no. There was no getting out in nature. There was no gratitude. There was no being grounded. There was no mindset. There was no empathy. I had none of it. None of it. Yeah. Now, who would, like, none of my friends would look at me then if I said to them, 10 years in the future, I'm going to go and chill out at a Buddhist monastery for a while. I'm going to talk about mindfulness. And like it would have just been, I would have been laughed out of the pub, because that's probably where I would have been at the time, saying, they would have gone, have another beer, Steve, you'll be right. And so we've all got the opportunity to grow and evolve and chat. You don't have to, like, none of us are in our last chapter yet, so the book hasn't been written. We're only at whatever stage we are, and there's plenty of time to totally change things around and come out the other side and make the story finish whatever way you like. It's never too late.
Absolutely. I actually just saying to a friend of mine yesterday, it's funny you said that about the book, because I was saying, you know what I feel like, actually? I feel like, you know, the way some novels are written, they have different structures, but some novels have like a part 1 and a part 2. I said, I feel I'm starting part 2 of my life is going to be completely different to the first half. You know, it's like, I think it's with the passing away of my parents very suddenly together. Loads of things have kind of died off. And it's like as if that's part 1 was over there, Caroline. Now we're on to part 2. You know, it just feels that, like, you know.
Yeah, it's a new beginning.
Yeah, it's like not just even, you know, the way I've had new beginnings before with like one thing, but to me, like, it feels at the moment as like, no, it's like a whole dying away of one part.
Oh, so it's a whole rebirth.
It's like, it's as if this part of your life has been all about this type of thing, and then the next part of your life is going to be completely different. You know, it's going to have a completely different emphasis, we'll say. It just feels like that, you know. Like, it's funny, isn't it? You know, it's like, like there's definitely I suppose the older you get, I suppose you've had more history, life experience to understand what it feels like in different phases, like, and different ways of, and I suppose you've retrospect on your maturity, like, as well, you know. I suppose, like, another way you're talking about that stage in your life, kind of, that was kind of a stage that you kind of grew out of, you know, and you grew into a new, you know, a more mature part of yourself, and more kind of into your own kind of truth, but you kind of probably had to come away from that environment as such.
You know, you've got to, like, strip some layers off, or drop some baggage behind, and like put on. I don't know. I haven't got a real good analogy for that one. That just went all pear-shaped on me, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, you have to let go. It's like you have to step out of it's like old clothes, or you're just leaving your clothes behind or something like that.
Yeah. Shed the old skin and
Yeah,
step
skin.
into a
Yeah,
new
yeah.
one. Yeah, and just evolve into who you want to be. Because I think for me, when you get to 40, you sort of know that that's near enough, sort of you're halfway there.
Mm.
And I sort of sat down and took stock and went, well, if you ask me at 20 where I'd like to be and what I'd like to have at 40, if you show me this picture now on 40, my 20-year-old self would be devastated and probably will just give it up. So like now, I know what I haven't done correctly or things that I could have done better to make that person happier. So now I've got the next 40 years so that when I'm 80, I can look back and go, 40-year-old me wouldn't even believe that I could achieve this in that next 40 years. Like it's just giving yourself that opportunity to realize that it's all up to us. We've got to achieve anything we want to. It's just making those good choices as opposed to the bad ones. And well, not even you can make bad choices. They're never going to define you. It's just making sure that the scales are tipped more in the good choice side of things than the bad.
It's all about learning, though, isn't it? I think there's so much learning probably there. When you get to a stage when you're 40, you've learned so much. You made, like I would say, people don't like to say mistakes, but it is kind of banging yourself, like you're kind of your own worst enemy most of the time, because you are like repeating patterns that you just don't even know you're living. You're living these patterns, and you're like, what are you talking about patterns? I wouldn't have a clue if you asked me, told, like you said, 20 years ago. So what are you talking about? I'm having a great time here, I'm having a fantastic time. Always having a fantastic time. You don't realize, like, the whoppers that you're going to be causing yourself. Oh, yeah.
I think it's nice to get to that stage too, when you have the acceptance that every single mistake I've made along the way is on me. I've got total ownership. There's no one to blame for anything that went sideways for me through this life so far. I can look in the mirror and go, yep, this is all on you, my friend. There's no one else at fault. Which is good. So I get to learn everything at the same time, because I made the mistakes, so I can learn everything from them too.
That's it. That's the hard part about it, though, isn't it? When you sit with yourself and you realize you're like, Caroline, there's nobody else after doing all any of this. You did it all yourself.
Yeah.
So, like, the only person who can change is you, and there's nothing you can change. It's like trying to change the world. You have to change yourself, don't you?
Yeah. It's like that Michael Jackson song, "Man in the Mirror." I'm starting with the man in the mirror, because that's the only place. If you're hoping that everything around you is going to change first and your life's going to be awesome, I got some real sad, bad news, because it's never going to happen, ever. You're going to be stuck for a long time waiting for everyone else. It's always got to start with us and end with us. And that's where all the magic comes from, I think, and appreciation and gratitude for all the things. Like, I used to get so caught up in shame and guilt. Even when I was taking ownership and responsibility, that was when it got even worse. I was like, oh, God, why'd you do that? And now it's just none of that. Now it's just, okay, we'll learn. Next time we're in that situation, we'll do a couple of things differently and hope for a slightly different outcome. Doesn't have to be perfect, just a few little tweaks, and just keep improving every time. I'm not trying to break records, just that little incremental improvement each time I learn from something.
It's so true, though, like what you said there, actually, because that's the process. That actually, it's like sitting with yourself, realizing, that you've created your life. You're the creator. You're the one who's kind of made the decisions, and to see where you've gone wrong, and then to take ownership of that. And then you do go through a period of kind of a few years of guilt, and like trying to get rid of the guilt and the shame and the kind of let go, like we're saying, the letting go of all that. Like, and actually your body holds a lot of that. There's a lot of that energies in your body, and that it takes time for that to kind of be released, we'll say. And I think sometimes those circumstances come into your life, there's particular circumstances after you've done that work, there's an awful lot of disorder that comes into your world when you've made that decision that you want to change. So it's kind of a bit, whoa, like what did I just open there? Like a can of worms, you know?
Yeah.
Because everything that hasn't been right comes to the forefront, you know, and you're like, oh my God almighty, you know?
Yeah. It always tells you too many things at once then.
Yeah, and then you just realize like that then, you know, actually that, you know, you're having to work through so much because you're facing it. You have to face it now. You know what I mean? You have to face into it and have to do the hard work. Like, you know, the labor, you're a laborer, you know, you're you're grafting, you know.
Yeah.
You're building, you're getting the blocks and the cement and you're having to like rebuild everything, like, you know, and kind of knock down what wasn't right and stuff like that. And then you're kind of a little bit more, you're in the arena then, and you're kind of like, okay, yeah, I'm here then. Just let me get on with it.
In the arena. Yes.
Yeah, you're back in the arena.
Back where we belong.
Okay, I have my purpose. I've tried to undo the stuff that I messed up. And then, I'll get on with it now.
Yeah, I think it just builds our resilience, doesn't it? Like as long as we're not getting knocked down too badly by all of these things, we just get stronger every time. With each little setback that we learn from is just laying another block and then another block and another block until we've got an impenetrable wall around us that can't be broken. And we've built it ourselves. I think there's much more enjoyment out of building your own wall than watching somebody else build it in front of you. I think build your own walls and have your own boundaries and barriers, and the enjoyment and benefits from it are so much better.
Yeah, and make sure to have windows and doors to let people in.
You've got to have some light coming in and a way out.
Yeah, lots of light. And like the modern, you know, architects, loads of big glass doors and stuff.
Yeah. It always worries me. I'm like, how is that structurally sound when it's just like all glass? I'm like, no, I'm not sure about. I'm no engineer, but I don't know. It just doesn't look safe.
It's our era again. We're like, what is that? What's that big window there? Big massive window door.
Yeah, it's just
not practical.
What's holding those windows there? It just looks like all windows. That can't be right.
Yeah, you're like, what if I come down my dressing gown and we're looking in at it?
I love it.
Yeah, but it's like, I think, you know, as well, I think it's realizing that, like, as you're growing, you're always going to have challenges. It's not that it gets easier, you know, it's just that, like you said, you have the tools that help you to cope, you know, like, you know, to cope and to understand, you have that mindset, you know, you have the right mindset. And it's like when the mindset is like, that's your foundation, isn't it? You know, if you dig deep, put in the right foundation, then you're good to go and build up whatever design you want.
Yeah, not too much glass.
Not too much glass. Our era, we don't like too much. We're cozy, nice and cozy.
I love glass, but I want to see some structure around it so I know it's not going to fall on me and kill me.
And I like a big fire, you know. Cozy fire.
And I think too, once we start like facing these challenges and beating a few, you get to a stage in your mindset where you want challenges and you want problems because you're ready now and you're prepared, and you get that sense of accomplishment when you come up against a challenge and you knock that one down, and then you know that you're just stretching that little bit further every time and growing a bit more, and then you conscientiously start looking for challenges. You're like, I don't want to just get caught in my comfort zone here. What's the next step I've got to do to kind of like go that bit further? End up just spurring yourself on and on and on to keep doing heaps better and greater things. It's so cool.
Yeah, that's a really good point, actually, because it does actually. It gives you kind of bounce, kind of, doesn't it? It's like, it's kind of like with what I was talking about the book. You know, the more you face your fears, then the more you realize you have the tools to overcome fear. So if I'm able to overcome fear, so what possibilities? You're limitless then. You can just like, okay, I'm doing this, and your ideas get bigger, and you know, you go, well, I've done that, but that's just a smaller scale of, just scale it up. Let's just scale it up, guys. It's like a builder architect. They build, they do the drawings and everything like that, but it's always the builders that scale it up. They're the ones who build it. They don't. Architects just do the drawings, but it's the builders who build it, and they make the big, massive, huge buildings,
Yeah. So it's like you start off with a Facebook post, and then you do a Facebook video, then you do a Facebook Live, and then all of a sudden you're doing a podcast, and then who knows? You're running the world soon enough. It's just little.
And Steve, yesterday I had an idea, and I was like, will I say it or will I not? But I think I'm going to have to say it.
Well, it's got to be said now.
I think we're going to make a movie.
All right, done.
About mental health. It's going to be kind of like a summit type movie type thing. I think we're going to make a movie. We started off with the intro of the mental health warriors, but it's going to be like, I was thinking, what if we did interview people around initiatives that were around mental health and people that are struggling and tell the story of, what's happening around COVID and stuff like that. That'd be cool.
Oh, I'm down for that. That has got me so pumped up. Movies.
Let's make a movie.
All right, let's do it. We'll start next week.
Put it out there. It's okay.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready to run amok with a movie. I think that'd be perfect. And the world needs it right now. They need a good movie to watch that's got a decent bit of mindfulness about it and some positivity and some structure around it.
Like a documentary movie, like a kind of like kind of like tell people's story and then kind of
awesome. Yes. We've got to get that happening. Okay. That would be so good.
Let's do that.
Then we can have the spin-off where we can have a series and everything.
Yeah. We're starting new Netflix. New Netflix. What could we call it?
Mindflix.
Mindflix. It's good.
That's actually not that bad. That works.
Good. Mindflix. Yeah.
Mindflix.
Oh, yeah.
And then other people can have content that's all around the mind and wellness and
Unless we might be sued. We might be sued for that. Well, okay, hold on. We'll see. We'll look into that. No, we don't want any.
Mind flex. So it's powerful. It'll be mind flex, not flicks.
Not flex, yeah. We'll do a bit of a brainstorm on that. We'll definitely, we're going to do a documentary movie around mental health.
That'd be awesome. I reckon that, that's got me really excited.
Yeah.
You know me, I don't get excited easy. I'm normally a very laid back, calm, placid kind of guy. But this has got me extra next level excited now. This is
there you go.
Awesome.
Think big.
Yeah. I want to go. We can have a little advanced screening where we walk the red carpet for the opening. That'd be great.
Yeah, because people are doing that now. So it's all open now that you can do register, just do an online movie, and get people to register and buy it for, kind of purchase it online or whatever. Yeah. So let's look into that.
Global. I think Sandy's asked a rhetorical question. Are you sure you don't get excited easily? Yeah, I might be fibbing, Sandy. I get excited super easily, but I don't know. I just love life. I can't help myself.
Thanks, Sandy. Oh, they say Mindflix. Yeah, it actually looks good. Typed out like that, actually. Doesn't it? Mindflix. Mindflex.
It's the power. The Mindflex.
Mindflex. Yeah. I didn't get that.
So they can't go as
that's only landing now. Mindflex.
Yeah,
because you have to kind of, the muscle. Yeah. Mind muscle.
It could be like a brain with muscles.
Mindflex. Oh, I love that. That's cool, actually. I'm doing the branding already.
I'm picturing it. Oh, you come up with something awesome. Don't let my crazy little mind come up with any ideas. I'm not creative at all.
Oh, you are. You're very creative. You don't think that, you see. It's just
maybe I'm just not. I should say I'm not artistic. Maybe I'm creative, but I'm not.
You're very creative because you're so good. That's what I was going to say at the start of the show. I was thinking you're really creative because you love in the moment, and you never like. Very rare that somebody can be so free to be able to just go on a show and say we're not talking about, we're just going out to chat and see what comes out of it. Like that's really just the foundation of creativity, you know. Like that's really a creative mindset.
Yeah, it's the power of presence, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think as long as you care enough to listen to someone, anyone can run an hour-long show without any preparation.
Yeah.
But you've got to be prepared to listen. If you're not prepared to listen to someone 100%, don't host a podcast without notes. It's too hard.
Well, you're brilliant at that, Steve. Brilliant listener.
Oh, it's easy when you got awesome guests.
Thanks very much.
Well, we've already ticked over an hour again, so we better wrap it up.
Okay.
What a way to finish.
Yeah.
Keep an eye out, guys.
Watch out.
There's going to be a movie, possibly a whole streaming service called Mindflex. Like this could go anywhere. Just stay tuned because we're not thinking small. We're going big. We're going to launch massive. And yeah, we might got, there could be Rainbow Warrior figurines available on Amazon soon. Like, just be ready. Yeah, Mindset Warrior, Bearded Unicorn coming. Like, there's so much. Yeah, it's just going to be small. We're going to make Star Wars look small.
Very good. Excellent. Oh, brilliant.
No, thanks heaps, Caroline. You have been just as amazing as I knew you would be. You've got so much knowledge and amazing awesomeness to share with everyone. I think definitely going to have you back on again a bit later in the year so we can keep delving into more of this awesome stuff and maybe launch the movie. Who knows? We'll see what happens. And for everyone tuning in, of course, we love you, appreciate you, and we wouldn't be here without an audience. So thanks, everybody. I'm not sure. I think tomorrow we've got Energize with Mel coming up at 8 a.m. UK. Yeah, 7 p.m. Aussie time. And I don't know if there's anything else on tomorrow. Adam will let us know. And it's on the TV guide. So, Caroline, thank you so much. It's been absolutely awesome. And everyone, thank you as well. I'll be back next week for Power Hour. And then the week after, Empower You will be back as well. So you'll have to put up with me at least twice. Oh, and I'm back Friday. I've got an interview Friday. So I'll see you then too.
Brilliant. Look forward to that. I'll be tuning in. Steve, thanks so much for having me on. Really enjoyed it.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye.